Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rekakadash. Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father. Yahweh Shah being the name of His only begotten Son, who they ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Now, when you look at these last days and the fulfillment of Bible prophecy, you can clearly see that the Lord is getting ready to bring this kingdom to a closing end. And He gave us specific things He would do when He brought this kingdom to a closing end. When you go into the book of Daniel, chapter 7, He explains how this kingdom, His kingdom, His everlasting kingdom would come into play. And He also explained in Daniel chapter 2 that His kingdom would come and do away with all the kingdoms of the earth. And when you look at the geopolitics and the world situation with all these kingdoms, you got two kingdoms that's pretty much elite. You have Russia and America. When you go into the nuclear warheads, you would see that America has 6,000 to 7,000 and Russia has 6,000 to 7,000 warheads. Give or take 200, 400, 500 in difference. And then when you go into the economic and the selling of goods, plus selling of weapons, because weapons is where all the power lies. So you have let's see, the exports of guns and weapons coming out of Russia, same thing as America. They number one and number two. And so when you go into Revelation 18, it talks about the great city and Babylon the Great, which is the climax of the last kingdom. And it talks about Babylon the Great in specific ways. One of the greatest ways it talks about the rich men of the earth pretty much was merchants of medicine. The rich man of the earth was deceiving all nations through their medicine. And what do you have? You have the American militaries going all over the world, confiscating poppy seeds, cocaine, any kind of mineral or drug or the substance to create the drug. The Contra down there in Colombia, filtering it into the United States to pretty much destroy the blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans in these ghettos, to flood the ghettos. Then you had them going to Afghanistan, taking the poppy seeds from these Afghanistan peoples. And then you have the pharmaceutical companies. Most of these pharmaceutical companies is running out of America. When it was a statistic that I heard that America is the 80% of all the pharmaceutical drugs that's sold is in America. Some other countries don't even allow their people to have drug commercials on the TV. And if they do, it just started in the last 5 to 10 years. It was only America that have these drug commercials on TV. And they have CVS, all the pharmacies, CVS, Walmart pharmacy, Walgreens pharmacy, with the witch bowl and the spoon in it. So that's one feature that America is this great city. Then it asks us a question in Revelation 18 and 18. What city is like this great city? Now, there's no other city like America. First of all, America is still, the United States of America is still a city because city represents citizenship. See, you could be in Washington, you still a citizen of America. You could be in Texas, you still a citizen of America. You could be in Florida, you still a citizen of America. See, city represents citizenship, membership of it's pretty much a place. And so just because they call it a country, don't take the fact away that it's still a city, a huge place of citizenship, and it's one of the great places of citizenship because it has 50 huge states in it. It has 300 million people that are citizens. You see, now Russia has 150 million people. So that shows you that it's double of what Russia has. And it's the beginning of most things. It's the beginning of shipping, from ships going all over the world. When you look at Revelation 18, it talks about the ships, the ships that's being using cargo and making people rich in the world. See, all the kingdoms of the world bring their goods here, their merchandise here to America, the great city. So there's so many features that shows that America is this great city, this Babylon, the great mother of all harlots. Then when you go into Jeremiah, the end of the book of Jeremiah talks about this Babylon. Now, when you go into Jeremiah 49, it shows you that he's talking about Edom. He brings Edom up. Jeremiah 49 and 7, it says, concerning Edom. So it shows you that Edom is in the conclusion of things. Then when you go into Ezekiel, it brings up Edom, Idumea, Mount Seir, in Ezekiel 36. Right before you get to 37 and 38, where it talks about Israelites in the average, I would say not the adversary, but the pretty much the Russians, who was gonna do away with who was in 36. See, those three chapters, Ezekiel 36, 37, and 38, shows you the combination of what's going on. Even 35, and I'm really meant to say Ezekiel, from Ezekiel 35 to 38, because Ezekiel 35 talks about the Mount Seir, and that they shed the blood of the children of Israel. Now, Mount Seir is the one, Mount Seir, Idumea, Edom, Esau. These individuals took the children of Israel into captivity. And so this whole from Ezekiel 35 shows you that this is the enemy of Israel. Then you get to 36, it shows you that they took the homeland. That the Edomites took the homeland. And he's going to pay them back for taking the homeland. Then he goes into 37. Then he goes into 37 where he's going to awaken the Israelites as a great army. Then he goes into 38. It shows how it's going to be some Edomites remaining that's going to go to war with the Israelites in the last days. So you have what else? Back in Jeremiah, where it talks about Edom in Jeremiah 49, you you have Jeremiah 49:10, and say Edom will try to hide themselves. And then you can see that when you look at all of the so-called interpretations of the Bible, the Edom has been destroyed with the interpretation of the Edomites. They have been destroyed. They don't exist anymore. See, they out of the picture. See, Edom is hiding themselves. If you get an Edomite, the descendants of slave masters, in their whole nation, they gonna give you an interpretation of they don't exist. Is no they know they their nation is totally evaporated. It disappeared. It just went out of existence. You see, this is what they gonna tell you because Edom is trying to hide themselves. So when you get to the next chapter, which he wasn't writing chapters, he was writing uh visions in a certain order. But he hit in 49, he talks about the Edomites. 50, he didn't change and start talking about somebody else. He was still talking about these Edomites, but he called the Edomites the king of Babylon and Babylon. And it said that how the great nations would come up against the king of Babylon, the king of the daughter of Babylon, because when you go into Isaiah 47, it talks about the daughter of Babylon. See, not the original Babylon, but this would be the daughter of Babylon. And I think let me get that in Jeremiah. Let's jump in with Jeremiah 50. I think it's in 50 and 43. It says the daughter of Babylon. 42, it says, let's highlight this. It's not talking about the other Babylon. Say, they shall hold a bow and a lance. They are cruel and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea. They shall ride upon horses, everyone put in array like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. She is talking about when Russia and his allies come against this Babylon the Great. See, this number one great city that's like, what, look at 33. It said, thus says the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah was oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast and refused to let them go. See, this daughter of Babylon took the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom hostage. They captured them. See, and they refused to let them go. So you got these nuclear missiles that's coming for this place. Verse 29, call together the archers against Babylon. See, that's the nuclear warheads, the nuclear powers of the earth. He said, call them together. Verse 14, he said, put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all that bend the bow, shoot at her. Spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord. She took the Israelites into slavery. Verse 9, for lo, I will raise and cause to come up against the Babylon, an assembly of great nations from the north country. That's what you see when you see Ezekiel 38. It's about them destroying Babylon first. That's what's going to be the goal of this Magog and Persia, the Iran, and the other allies, China, and all these other allies of Russia. He say, prepare, be thou prepared. He's gonna prepare them to go to war with this Babylon the Great. And look at verse 11. It says, it's talking about the nation of Israel, but this is what Jeremiah was saying about the Edomites also. See, they gonna attack everybody that look like they could defeat them, because these Russians and other allies is ready to take over the whole world. But let's see, Jeremiah 50:31. Look at what it says. It said, "Arise, get you up unto the wealthy nation that dwell without care, says the Lord, which have neither gates nor bars, which dwell alone." You see, first Russia coming for them. Let's go back to 38. First Russia gonna come for them. What was that? Verse 11. First they gonna come for them. Then they gonna come for the Israelites who is beamed up out of this place and saved. Because then when they are saved, the Russians gonna see that these individuals are dwelling safely with no walls and no bars or gates. Now, for some reason, you got these preachers on TV talking about Israel is the people that's in Israel, knowing that these people are not Israel. They said to be Japheth or Edom. They even calling the Americas Edom. So if they calling Americas Edom, well, who the heck is they? How they gonna be some other people? The American so-called white man gonna be an Edomite, but the so-called Israeli Jewish white man ain't gonna be an Edomite. What kind of sense does that make? They identical. They just look like they distant cousins or something, but they still from the same bloodline. And Deacon 36 already identified them. Let me get that real quick. 36, it says, "Therefore thus saith the Lord God, surely in the fire of my jealousy I have spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumean, all the Edomites, which have appointed my land, the nation of Israel, Jerusalem, into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey." See, this is who identifies who the Edomites is, who took over the homeland, and who helped them do it in 1948. It was the so-called American Edomites helped the other Edomites take over that land of Jerusalem and the surrounding parts that make up Israel. So when you look at, I should just went over. When you look at Ezekiel 38 and see how this is not going to be no Edomites fighting against Edomites once they destroy Babylon the Great. See, when this a great assembly of nations, as Jeremiah said, set their bows at Babylon and destroy Babylon, then they coming after the Israelites, who gonna be a land of unwalled villages. And then what's gonna happen? We go back to Jeremiah and we go to 51. See, 51 still addressing the situation of when Babylon are destroyed. This is what he gonna do for the Israelites. See, talking about Jacob, say in verse 19, the portion of Jacob is not like them. He is the former of all things. Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Okay. So we talking about Jacob. Then he said in verse 20, "Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war, for with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms." See, he gonna destroy kingdom with them. So the Russians and these other nations that's gonna destroy Babylon, they gonna have to come up against the Israelites. And they're going to be the remaining ones of Edom. Look at verse 25. It say, "Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain." See, just because he using the Edomites to destroy Babylon, America, the ones who got the Israelites in captivity, he still is against them. He going to turn them into a burnt mountain. See, but it's all going to fall back on Isaiah 14. We're going to get right to the point, because this is what Babylon is doing which is the king of Babylon. This is what the king of Babylon, and not the ancient Babylon, but the daughter of Babylon. This is what Babylon the Great represents. Verse 2, it says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place in the house of Israel, shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, who captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Verse 3, and it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage where thou hast made to serve. So they were serving the king of Babylon. They were serving their slave masters here in America. And the king of Babylon was refusing to let them go. The daughter of Babylon was refusing to let them go. That's why in verse 4 it says that thou shalt take up the parable against the king of Babylon and say, how has the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. See, this golden city is the same as the great city in Revelation 18. They are going to cease when Russia destroy their behind for making the Israelites work with hard bondage, serve them with hard bondage, and they took them captive. See, Russia didn't take nobody captive. See, they way up there in the ice mountains and stuff. They ain't took nobody captive. They don't have a great population of Negroes in Russia, in Ukraine, and in those areas. It's mainly in Germany and these American Babylon, the great allies, who have populations of blacks and Hispanics serving their militaries and serving the rich elites that's in those areas. But this is how you see and understand Babylon the Great and how things is going to wind down to Russia destroying America, and then they're going to have to go up against the Israelites. But he's going to give the Israelites the power to take all the Edomites into captivity. Let's get that in Amos, and I'm going to close out. Amos 9 and 11 and 12, it says, in that day I will raise up the house, the tabernacle of David that has fallen. That means the family, the bloodline, the Israelites, how they was during the reign of David, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins and will build it as the days of old. See, as in the days of old when David was the king, that's how the Israelites is going to be rolling, when they was major warriors and conquerors. Verse 12, it say that they may possess the remnant of Edom. Who going to be the remnant of Edom? The Russians. The Russians is going to be the remnant of Edom, and the Edomites that's in these doomsday bunkers, they going to be the remnant of Edom. And these allies to America in Babylon the Great going to be the remnant of Edom, because see, they're going to switch out on Babylon. According to Revelation 17 and 16, they're going to switch out on Babylon and shoot arrows too, or nuclear missiles too, at America. It says the remnant of Edom and all the heathen. So everybody going into captivity under the Israelites. That's that Jeremiah 30 and 16, Revelation 13 and 10, Revelations 2 and 26. See, all nations is going under the Israelites. What's that? Psalms chapter 2, verse 8, round about verse 8. They going to possess all these heathens. And what's that? Isaiah chapter 2, verse 2. They going to have to come to Israel and worship the king and serve the king of Israel. See, this is how the conclusion of this thing going to go down. But to get to that, America is the bridge. America has to be destroyed first. And the Israelites got to be delivered from Babylon and all the other places. But let me end on that because that's really a better ending. Because once that happens, it's game over. 11 and 12. It says, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and the enemies beheld them. Verse 13, in the same hour was an earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. See, that's America being destroyed. They're going to be rescued out of America, and America's going to be destroyed by nuclear missiles. That's why the earth is going to quake. And the enemies is going to see them being beamed up. So they not going to be destroyed with America. They going to be lifted up out of America. And then that's when they going to take over the earth. These other nations ain't going to do nothing. They just being a tool that the Lord is using to destroy this place, this land of merchandise, this Babylon the Great, the merchandise of slaves and the souls of men. But I'm gonna leave it there. Russia and these other adversaries of America is got their targets on America, and the Lord is doing it. That's what Revelation 17 and 17. He's making them target America and target America by going after their allies and persuading their allies to join them. If he got to use extortion or whatever he gonna use, they gonna join his side and come against America. But all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem Kakadash. Double honors to the elders pushing the truth. Peace to the elect, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, descendants of slaves scattered around the globe. Our kingdom is at hand. Shalom.